Hello guys, this is Router FX. In this video, I'm going to take you through how to identify a fair value gap and imbalances on the forex market. If you're a beginner trader and you don't know how to use a fair value gap or how to make a trading decision by using a confluences like a fair value gap, then make sure you watch this video to an end. And after this video, you'll begin to make a decision as a professional forex trader, and it's going to change the game for you. So when you say fair value gap, we use three different candlesticks to determine whether there is a value or whether there is a fair value gap or whether there is an imbalances. So on the forex market, the market should always be balanced. If it's not balanced, then it means that in the future that particular market will have to reverse to balance the market before the market continues. So this is how we identify a fair value gap on the charts and then how we make our trading decision. So first of all, when you look at these charts, you realize that I want to use this particular area. For example, so we have this bullish candlesticks followed by the next candlestick which is also bullish, and then followed by this particular bullish candlestick. Now if you realize that in between this particular bullish candlesticks and the third one, there is a gap in between. But ideally, when you look at this area, you realize that candlesticks open and retest before it continues. So it open, retest, then continues, open, retest, then continues. So even when you check this area, when the market open here and closes here, it retests, the second candlesticks retested this area before it closes. Then the next one to also push and then retest the zone of this area before the next one also came. Okay, so in between three candlesticks, if there is a gap between three candlesticks where one did not retested the previous one, then we call it a fair value gap. And this fair value gap is very important because in the future the market has to balance, the market has to move back to that zones and make sure it balances the chart before the market continues with its moves. And so for this particular one, let me use this horizontal line for example. So we have this bullish candlestick, this is the first one. Then you place the horizontal line just at the tip of that, as I've done it. Then we have, let me use another horizontal line, place it just at the tip of the third one. Okay, beautiful. So now ideally this particular candlestick, this third candlestick, was supposed to push all the way to this area to retested the tip of this particular area to balance the market before the market continued to push to the upside. But in this particular case, the market did not do that. It just pushed all the way to the upside and closes. So that area, you have to demarcate that area, that in the future the market has to retest that area before the uptrend continues. So this is how we identify a fair value gap and imbalance. So if you want to know that this market is not balanced and this market has to be balanced before it continues, then you have to first of all look out for a fair value gap. If there is a gap, then it means that the market is not balanced. And once the market is not balanced, then you have to identify or demarcate that particular area where there wasn't a balance on the market. And then in the future you are expecting the market to retest that zone before the trend continues. Okay, now I will take up these horizontal lines and then replace it with a different line so that it will make the chart beautiful for you guys. So we have I'm going to use this rectangle. Okay, then I will extend it to the right side. So this is the fair value gap. So in between this zone where this particular wick of this candle did not test this wick of this particular candle is what we call a fair value gap. So there is a gap in between, and once there is a gap in between, the market is not balanced. So if you want to know that this particular gap is balanced, is valid, then there should be an imbalances, and once there is an imbalance on the chart, then that gap has to be refilled so that the market becomes balanced before the trend continues. And so this is what you call a fair value gap, so FVG. So this area it becomes our FVG. Now, after you've identified this area as your fair value gap, what next? Then you are waiting for the market to retest that zone. So because you expect the market to retest that zone and continue with the trend. So what happened was that the market pushed to this area and started moving down to ensure that the gap that was left has to be refilled. And so this market pushed all the way to retest the fair value gap to make sure that the market is balanced before the uptrend continues. And you can see beautifully that when the market pushed all the way to this area into the fair value gap, the market began to push to the upside. And see what happened. The market pushed all the way to the upside. So that is how we trade with a fair value gap. So once you see any fair value gap, demarcate that area and expect the market to reverse at that particular point, or expect the market to retest that zone, or to refill, or to make sure that that particular area has been refilled and balanced. Then the market continues. So this is what we call a fair value gap and imbalances. So when you look at this, you look at this area, you realize that all these charts, there wasn't any gap between. There wasn't any gap. This one opened, and then this one tested the zone and then continued. This one too tested this one, this zone, and then continued. So there is no gap. So in this particular area, the market is balanced, and once it's balanced, it's balanced. So there is nothing to retest. Okay, so this is what we call a fair value gap. So make sure you are able to identify a fair value gap and imbalances on the chart and demarcate that area on the chart. Okay, so in the future, once the market hits that zone, you expect the market to continue to push to the upside. And so make sure you take notice of that. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment, and then if you want to join my trading community, send me a DM, and then I'll